pillars of the object-oriented programming language.
Okay, sir. There are four pillars of object-oriented programming language, such as abstraction, inheritance, polymorphism, and abstraction.
Yes. Yes. Just explain me one by one. Means about abstraction, encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphism.
Okay, so abstraction means hiding internal implementation and just highlight the set of services or set of functionality to the end user what we are referring. And in Java, abstraction are achieved by with the help of the abstract classes and interfaces.
Correct.
Then,
Yes.
then inheritance means creating a new class from the existing class. So it is also called as a easy relationship. So
Yes.
in Java,
Correct.
total Java API is built on the with the help of the inheritance concept.
Mm-hmm.
Then polymorphism. So polymorphism means one entity existing multiple forms. So it's known
Yes.
as the polymorphism, and polymorphism is achieved by in Java with the help of the method overriding and method overloading. Then encapsulation. So encapsulation means the process of wrapping a data and corresponding class method into a single unit is nothing but an encapsulation. And encapsulation are achieved by Java with the help of the combination of abstraction and data hiding.
Yes. Correct. So great. Now, yes. So you told that abstraction is achieved by using abstract class and interface.
Yeah.
Yes, tell me the difference between abstract class and interface.
Okay, so abstract class. So abstract class means if you have just partially implemented, then we should go with an abstract class. And just we
Mhm.
have just a requirement specification and we don't know about the implementation, then we should go with an interfaces.
Yes,
So
correct.
abstract class can contain a constructor, but interface does not contain any constructor.
Mm-hmm.
Then in abstract class, we can take abstract method as well as non-abstract method, but in interface, by default, all the methods are abstract. Then in
Yes,
abstract class, we can take instance as well as static variables, but in interface, we can take only one static variable because all the variables inside the interface by default publish static and final.
correct.
So in abstract class, there is having a main method, but interface cannot be have a main method. Then in abstract class, we can take final method, but interface we cannot be take a final method. Then abstract class,
Mhm.
we can take a static block as well as the instance block, but we cannot take in interface static block and final block. Sorry, instance block.
Okay, great, great. So you told that abstract class, one of the difference that is abstract class can have constructor, but the interface doesn't have constructor.
Yes.
So why abstract class have constructor but not interface?
So we know that main purpose of constructor is to perform the initialization of an object. And
Mm-hmm.
we know that in abstract class having some instance variables. So to perform those instance variables, the constructor is required in abstract class. But in the case of the interface, there is no having some instance variables. So by default, all the variables having a statics means public statics and final. So there is no having any instance variable. So the constructor cannot be required inside the final block.
Yeah, okay, correct. So can we create an object of interface?
No, we cannot be create an object of an interface.
And can we create an object of abstract class?
No, we cannot be create also object of an abstract class.
Okay, okay, great. So now next that is a polymorphism, one of the pillar of the object-oriented programming language. It's
Yes.
polymorphism. So polymorphism is achieved by using method overloading and method overriding.
Yes.
So tell me the difference between method overloading and method overriding.
Okay. So method overriding means whenever we can extend one class in another class, then so what are the methods of an parent class are by default available to the child class. But
Mm-hmm.
if child class is not satisfied with an parent class method implementation, then child class method is an allowed to redefine that implementation in this class is known as a method overriding.
Mm-hmm.
Then method overloading means method name having method name is same but having a different argument is known as a method overloading.
Yeah, correct.
Then method overriding, JVM is then responsible to perform the method call or to resolve the method call based on the runtime object. Whereas in method overloading, compiler is then responsible to perform the or to resolve the method call based on the reference type. Then
Yes.
in method overriding, we can take coherent return type, but yes, we can take a coherent return type, but such type, but there is no restriction in a method overriding. We can take or not take. There is not mandatory inside a method overloading. Then in method overriding, we can override the private, static, as well as we cannot override private, static, and final method. But in overloading, we can override the final, static, and private method. Then
Yes.
in method overriding, we cannot be reduce the scope of access modifier. Then in overloading, there is no restriction we can reduce or not reduce. There is no impact on the method overloading concept.
Yes, correct, correct. Okay, great. So now we will move to the next point about the constructor. So yeah, suppose in my program I am not writing any constructor. So at that time the compiler will generate the one default constructor.
Yes.
Okay. But yes. So here, what is mean by constructor?
Constructor means it is a one type of method.
Mm-hmm.
It is exactly same as a class name and it does not contain any return type.
Mm-hmm.
So it's known as the constructor.
Okay. So for constructor, can we overload constructor?
Yes, we can overload the constructor.
And for overriding means can we override the constructor?
No, overriding concept is not applicable for the constructor.
Okay, correct. So yes. Now we will move to the next point. So what is difference between data hiding and abstraction?
Okay, so data hiding means hiding internal data cannot be go outside or outside person cannot be access our internal data directly is nothing but the data hiding.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the abstraction means hiding internal implementation and just highlight the set of services to the user what we are offering.
Mm-hmm.
Then data hiding in achieved by with the help of the private access modifier. Then
Mm-hmm.
abstraction is an achieved with the help of the abstract lesson interfaces. Then data hiding in lookouts, so internal lookouts, where the abstraction are focused on the external lookouts. Then in data hiding, solve issue at the implementation level, whereas the in abstraction solve issue at the design level.
Okay, correct. So now, overloading, there is concept of overloading. So overloading is applicable for which part? Means it is applicable for the normal method, constructor, main method, and variable. So means which of the following part? So overloading concept is applicable. For normal method, overloading concept is applicable or not?
Yes, for normal method, overloading concept is applicable.
And for main method,
Yes, we can should do that.
suppose I have overloaded the main method, then at runtime, which main method get called by JVM?
Firstly, we can overload the main method, but JMA always he call the string as the argument, call that finally, and remaining method we have to call the explicitly.
Yeah, yes, correct, correct, great. Okay. Yes. Now we will to move next question. So, what is difference between string and string buffer?
Okay, so string is an immutable, so whereas the string buffer is a mutable.
Mm-hmm.
Then in string dot equals method is override for content comparator, but in string buffer dot equals method cannot be override for content comparator.
Mm-hmm.
String having a string constant pull mechanism, but string buffer does not have a string constant pull mechanism.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So you tell that string is immutable. So what is mean by immutable?
So immutable means once we can create an object that we cannot be perform any changes into that existing object. If we are trying to perform any changes in existing object, then new object will be created with given content. Then if any changes is not occurs in existing object, then previous object or existing object is reused. So this non-changeable behavior is known as a immutability.
Okay. So can we define our class as an immutable class?
Yes, we can do that. Our class is immutable class.
So how to define our own class as immutable?
There are several methods, such like as to define a class as a final, because no one can extend class in, or no one can create its child class. Then define all the field as a private, because it cannot be accessed to the outside class directly. Then provide only getter, don't provide the setter method. And to provide the final access modifier to all the mutable fields, because only once we can initialize that variables.
Okay, correct. Okay, great. So next question, how many ways we can restrict to the user from object creation?
There are multiple ways to can restrict object creation to the user. For example, to declare class as abstract, or to make a interface. Another is to provide all the constructors as a private.
Okay, correct. So, and how to restrict the user to create a child class?
Yes, we can do that to provide class as a final, and to provide all the constructors as a private. So we can restrict the child class of an given class.
Okay, great. So in Java, so which class act as a root in Java class hierarchy?
In Java, object class is act as a root class in Java.
Okay. Okay, correct. Now, now we will move to the next concept. So, what is difference between final? There is one modifier final, and there is a concept immutability. So, what is difference between final and immutability?
Okay, so final is an access modifier, and it is applicable only for the variable, class, and methods, and not applicable for the objects. And
correct.
Immutability is an concept which is applicable only for the objects, not for the variables, methods, and class.
Okay. So, correct. So now next question. So, how many wrapper classes are there?
In Java, there are totally 8 wrapper classes are available in Java.
Okay. Okay. And what is default value for the Boolean wrapper class?
So false is a default value for the Boolean wrapper class.
Okay, great. Now we will move to the next part, that is the exception. So what is exception?
Exception means unwanted or unexpected event occurs and that disturb the normal flow of execution is nothing but an exception.
Okay, and what is difference between exception and error?
Okay, so exceptions are occur due to pure logic by programmer, whereas the error are occur due to the system lack of the system resources.
Correct.
Then exception is an either checked or unchecked, but error is an always unchecked. Then exception is unrecoverable, but errors cannot be recoverable.
Okay. So what is difference between check exception and uncheck exception?
Okay, so checked exception means those exception which is checked by compiler, whether it is programmer handle or not, for smooth execution at runtime, is known as a checked exception. Whereas unchecked exception means those exception which is not checked by compiler, whether it is programmer handle or not, then such type of exception is known as unchecked exception. Then checked exception are divided into partially checked exception and fully checked exception. And unchecked exception, for example, unchecked runtime and child classes and error and child classes are came into the unchecked exception.
Okay, great. So now we will move to the next question. What what is the means here? What is difference between throw and throws keyword?
Okay, so throw keyword can be used to hand over the explicitly created exception object to the JVM, whereas the throws keyword can be used to delegate the exception handling responsibilities to the caller. Caller means maybe either a JVM or method.
Okay.
Then throws are used inside the method, whereas the throws keyword can be used with the method signature. Then throws can throw only at a time only one exception can be thrown by throws keyword, throw keyword, whereas the throws keyword can throws multiple exception at a time.
Okay, great. So now, what is difference between final and finally?
So final and finally. Final is an access modifier which is applicable for the variable, class and method, whereas the finally is an keyword which is applicable only for the block. So when we can declare as a class as a final, then we cannot be its override. When we can declare a method as a final, then we cannot be its also override. And when we can declare as a variable as a final, then we cannot be perform any initialization. And finally block is an always associated with an try catch, and it is used to perform the cleanup activity, hot cleanup activity, which are associated with an try block.
Okay, correct. So in object class, we have means total 11 method. So out of that, like wait, notify, and notify all method are present in the object class. But those methods are generally used in the multi-threading. But those methods are not present in the thread class. So why wait, notify, and notify all method are present in the object class but not in thread class?
Okay, so for every Java object having only one lock or monitor. And these objects, this method, so wait, notify, and notify method, these are used within this monitor or logs. So that's why they are the part of the object, not a part of the thread. And these methods, such as a wait, notify, and notify methods, are work on the logs. And we know that logs are always associated with an object, so that's why they are method in the object class, not a thread class.
Okay, correct. So now next question, what is difference between runnable and callable?
Okay, so callable interface are present in java.util.concurrent package, whereas the runnable interface are present in java.long package. Then callable interface have a call method, whereas the runnable interface have a run method. Then callable interface call method can return some value, but runnable interface run method cannot be return any value. Then callable interface call method can throw some checked exception, but runnable interface run method cannot be throw any exception, checked exception.
Okay, correct. Now, so now we will move to the collection part. So as a collection, so there are the some key interfaces. So just tell me how many interfaces are considered as key interfaces and tell the name of these key interfaces.
Okay, in collection there are 9 key interfaces are available, such as collection, list, set, sorted set, navigable set, map, sorted map, navigable map, and queue.
Okay, correct. So tell me the difference between collection and array.
Okay, array is in a fixed size, whereas the collection is an groupable in nature. Then array can store only homogeneous data element, whereas collection can store homogeneous as well as heterogeneous data element. Then with respect to performance, array is recommended to use, but with respect to performance, collection is not recommended to use. Then with respect to memory performance, array is not recommended to use, but with respect to memory performance, collection is recommended to use. Then array does not support the ready-made method, but the collection can support the ready-made method.
Okay, great. Now next difference between list and set.
Okay, so in list insertion order is preserved, but in set insertion order is not preserved.
Mm-hmm.
Then in list duplicates are allowed, but in set duplicates not allowed.
Mm-hmm.
But in list there is no having any the by default sorting techniques. But
Mm-hmm.
it set having by default some sorting techniques. By using preset we can sort the elements.
Okay. Okay. Now next difference, array list and linked list.
Okay, so underlying data structure of an array list is an growable array or resizable array.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the underlying data structure of an linked list is an doubly linked list.
Mm-hmm.
Then in arrays and base choice of your frequently operation is an retrieval operation, but whereas linked list is an base choice of your operation is an insertion or deletion at middle.
Mm-hmm.
Then in array elements are inserted according to some continuous memory location,
Mm-hmm.
but in linked list elements cannot be inserted according to some continuous memory location. In array list having some uh, capacity concept, but in linked list does not have any capacity concept.
Okay. Great. Great. Now the next difference between comparable and comparator.
Okay, so comparable are present in java.lang package, whereas the comparator present in java.util package. Then
Mm-hmm.
comparable is meant for default natural sorting order, but comparator is meant for the customizer sorting order.
Mm-hmm.
Then when we are depending upon the default natural order, then object must be homogeneous and comparable.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we are depending upon customizer sorting order, then there is no need to object having comparable or homogeneous. Then comparable having one method compare two method with taking one input parameter as object, whereas the comparator have one method such as a compare method, it take two input variables such as object 1 and object 2.
Okay. Okay. Great. So now next difference between hash set and linked hash set.
Okay, so hash set underlying data structure in hash set is an hash table,
Mm-hmm.
whereas the in linked hash set underlying data structure is a combination of hash table and linked list.
Mm-hmm.
Then in hash set it is a parent class, whereas the linked hash set is a child class.
Mm-hmm.
Then hash set introduced in JDK 1.2 version, whereas the linked hash set in introduced in JDK 1.4 version.
Mm-hmm.
Then insertion order is not preserved in hash set, but insertion order is preserved in linked hash set.
Okay. Great. Great. Now next difference between hash map and hash table.
Okay, so every method in a hash table are synchronized, but whereas the every method in a hash map is not synchronized.
Mm-hmm.
Then in hash table, at a time only one thread is allowed to operate on hash table object, whereas in hash map there are multiple threads allowed to operate on hash map object.
Mm-hmm.
Then in hash table relative performance is low, whereas in hash map relative performance is high. Then
Okay.
hash table is not by default as a thread set, but thread set, and hash map is not a thread set. Then in hash map null insertion is not allowed, but in hash map null insertion is allowed.
Okay. Okay. Great. Yes. So now last difference. There is a difference between fail fast and fail safe.
Okay, so fail fast and fail safe. Fail fast
Mm-hmm.
and throw an exception such as concurrent modification exception when we are trying to perform any modification. Then fail safe does not throw any exception. Then
Mm-hmm.
in fail fast, duplicate obligation creation not allowed at the time of iterating process. But in fail safe, duplication object creation is allowed at the time of iterating process. Then fail fast is faster than fail safe, but fail safe is lower than the fail fast.
Okay.
Then modification is not allowed in fail fast at the time of iterating process, but modification is allowed in fail safe at the time of iterating process.
Okay. Okay. Now yes.